Hello everyone, this is Rebecca from Papeterie de Choix, and welcome to File Folder Friday. I've got my take on a little wallet folio. I did not make ephemera for it because this is pretty in-depth all by itself. The one that we're going to make today, we're going to make straight pockets instead of angle pockets because they're not the easiest thing to do. So I don't want to take the time on camera to try to work that out. But basically what you have is just a file folder that you score and cut a piece of. The pocket here has the sides folded in. I can't remember exactly what kind of pocket that's called, but anyway, it gives you the full width of your line, so that it's scored at a 1/2 inch around on these three sides, so you have a pocket here that can hold a little bit of stuff. And then I'm kind of really liking these what I'm calling the placket pockets, because what it does, let's see, well, here we go. This should fit. So what you have is you have a pocket from the top. It goes all the way to the bottom, and then if you put something in here, it goes all the way, it goes all the way to the bottom, and then you can have a little short thing here. So instead of layering pockets one on top of the other, that creates bulk, this keeps it more streamlined and takes, instead of having the thickness of the pocket and the tag or card you put in there, it's just the card itself, and the pocket, it don't get any thicker as it goes up. I hope that made sense. So it's very simple. I did mine with a left hand fold, mainly because when I laid it out with my piece of scrapbook paper that I use, that's just how I did it. So, and that's how the one we're going to make tonight is. But if you want your fold to be on the right hand side, this way, I'm not going to force that, but if you want it the other way, just make sure that when you round the corners that they're on this side as opposed to this side. And so you can score it. When we go to score, you can score it at the same measurement. Just flip it over. Well, it'd actually be this way, wouldn't it? No, it'll be this way. Anyway, flip it over, and that'll put the flap on this side. You'll see as we go along. So this is what we're going to make today, is a wallet ephemera holder with just a little bit of a twist. Not the ephemera, but the holder itself. So that's what's on the agenda for today. And so I'm going to get my materials together and we'll get started. Now, because this project is a little bit involved, I went ahead and cut my papers, but I put the instructions on each piece so that I could remember what needed to be done, but also I will put the measurements and things like that on the screen as I do them. But basically, this is a project that's really good to use your big sheets of 12 by 12 that have big images on them that wouldn't look right if you cut them up. So that's one of the reasons why I chose this to do it the way that I have. The other thing is I'm also using very thin paper, so I think it lends itself to that as well. So let me move these to the side, and here I wrote, the first thing you need to do is cut you a piece of file folder that is 10.5 inches this way wide, and then 7.5 inches tall if you want to make it the same size that I have made these. So now I will be doing this on the other side. This file folder, this was the kind that has the metal like fold down band thing in it, so it's a lot thicker and sturdier card than some of the other file folders I've been using, and this side has a shine to it, so I'm using this as my wrong side. So when I cut it, I will be cutting, or not cutting, but scoring it from this side. So the first place, and I do have me some notes I'm going to put back here so I can, that way I don't have to keep flipping the paper over. So the first score that you want to do is at 3 3/4. So 3 3/4, and then 3 7/8, so it's the very next mark. And I'm doing this twice because, like I said, this is thicker and stiffer paper. And then go along to 7 7/8, so it's the one right before 8, and then 8. Now, so that I know which way that I'm going to be doing mine, I'm going to be doing another fold to the left because that's the way I've laid my paper out so it looks continuous. So the first thing I'm going to do is round the corners on this little side so that I can remember which side is which. And I'm using the number 10, but you can use whatever you want to. I'm putting this over the floor because I caught the vacuum anyway when because I've done this project. Actually, this is the third time, but the first time I messed it all up, and so I just ditched it. That was yesterday, and I ditched it this morning and started again. And that's when I realized how involved it was going to be. So now I'm not folding anything yet because it makes it easier to glue things down if it is still nice and flat. So that will work to do that way. This is all the scoring that you'll need to do right now. When we get ready to put the pockets on, then there'll be more scoring, but for right now it's all. So I'm going to lay this to the side and get my mat over here. And this part is, like I said, a little bit involved. And what I might actually do, just for the sake of time, is let me get my little things over here. I'm going to have this one here, that one there, and that one there, like that. So what I'll be doing is rounding the corners here. I'm going to ink my edges, and then I'm going to glue it down. And on these, for each block between the score lines and the edges, I took a quarter, I think it was 1/4 of an inch. Yeah, roughly 1/4 of an inch off of the edge, off of the measurement rather. So this was this part was 7.5 from here to here. I made this 7 1/4. This is from this score line to the edge of the paper is 3 3/4. So I made this 3 1/2. So whatever, you can make these any size, but I like this kind of uniform border. So the size that you between your score lines, cut your paper down 1/4 of an inch less, and then you have your border. So you get the idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the camera, or no, I'll glue one. I'll do one, and to show you what I'm doing. So I'm going to ink this edge, and I'll also be inking this whole thing around the edge, both on the outside and the inside. So I'm going to ink this whole thing around. And I apologize if you hear a dog barking. Our neighbor in the back of us, actually we have two neighbors behind us that have dogs, and I don't know what's out there moving around, but it's barking its head off. So let me go ahead and do this. I'll just do this part because this is, you know, if you want to ink, obviously ink, because I think the inking is what gives it its definitiveness. It makes it very, just gives it personality and that sort of thing. I won't do the, I will be inking these, but I won't do those until I actually fold them. And I won't do that until I get everything glued. And there'll be these cutouts from the scrapbook paper will go on the outside, which is this side, and the inside. And I wrote this in spaces where I knew it would be covered up. So I'm going to go ahead and do this inside as well. And you can do variations of this too. You can keep it the same width and the same score marks, but make it shorter. You can make it longer even if you wanted. I thought 7.5 inches was a pretty good size, you know, for height wise. But you could make it any size that you wanted that fit whatever project you were doing. And then whatever papers you use to put on top of it, just cut them accordingly to the size that you're making it. Now, I've got, I don't know if you'll notice, but I use placemats a lot. I've got 2 of these. The other one is up under my table here to help it be level, and it's probably shiny. But this is just an old, vintage, cork-backed placemat. I've got several actually, but let me see, I've already used it some today, so I want to make sure I don't get glue on my thing. But anyway, I just put down some glue stick to make sure I got everything covered, because you don't want an air bubble in there, and you want it kindly thick, because I've realized that if it's a little bit warm in here and it starts to dry a little bit, it's like you didn't even put it on in places. So I try to make sure that it's nice and thick. Unfortunately, this paper wants to bend a little, but when I put it down, it'll be fine. And then, of course, I still put the glue around the edge. I make sure that it's not going anywhere. And if you notice, I'm using clear glue stick. I did decide, I went ahead and put all that purple in the donate box to go to the thrift store that we donate to the next time we go, which actually probably will be tomorrow, possibly. At any rate, it's really good for school kids. I don't think, well, I just don't like it. Okay, so I am going to now move this back out of the way. And wherever you put your first one, just try to line everything else up with it, and just, you know, try to get it the same distance all the way around. And I need to come down just a touch. come back this way a touch. I think that looks alright. Okay, so I'll be going to the iron now to press this down. I am going to pause and go ahead and put all these down because this part is very time consuming. Or maybe I could do the other two and then do the inside. No, you know what? I think maybe I'll do these two and I'll come back and I'll do these three on camera because these are pretty self-explanatory. I went ahead and cut mine to size, and so I know how I'm going to lay these out. And I'm going to go ahead and cut this now before I forget what side it's going to go on. So that way I don't forget. Alright, I'll press this. I'll come back and we'll do the other two. Okay, so this is the next one I'm going to do. And just get the ink around it. I would also say that you can do this. I'm doing these from the same paper pack, but they got a little bit different style. This is a paper pack from Hobby Lobby. Theodosia Square, I believe it is. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And it's one of my favorite paper packs. I've already put it up. I have a shelf on the other side of the room with old wooden crates that I keep my papers in. And they're kind of, I put them upside down so that the top where they're glued together is on the bottom, and then I can flip through them like that and pull them out as I need to. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead, while that's drying, I'll go ahead and do this one. I don't want to you know, do anything that's repetitive and boring. So that's why I was kind of toying with the idea of, do I just, you know, stop and do this part off camera because it's pretty self-explanatory. Anyway, if I had really thought about it while I was in here cutting earlier tonight to get ready for this, I could have just went ahead and inked, but I was doing other things, I suppose. Okay. Doesn't seem like it got as much on it as it needs to have. Seems like those lines are really thin. So I'm just gonna... Okay. So let me grab this thing back over here a minute, and I apologize for it being, you know what, I've got a little bit too much glue on it, so I'll find a spot over here that hopefully I won't run off the edge of. So yeah, it's been a weird week. You know, this time last week we were down in the low 20s and preparing for lows down around, I think, 14. I think we got down to 14. My parents in North Carolina in the mountains, they got down to 3. And now it's 72 degrees outside. And it's like 11:30 or about 11 o'clock at night, and it's about 70, and it's not even a week later. It's just crazy weather, and I know it's the time of year for crazy weather, but still, it's just it's just weird how things work sometimes. When I grew up in the mountains, I may have mentioned this before, I don't know, but when I was little, I grew up on a small farm, and when I was really little, we had cattle, and I remember that the snow, when it would snow, it wasn't like snow like, okay, Rebecca, pay attention to what you're doing. It wasn't like snow that like we have now, where, you know, it snows 3 or 4 inches and everybody thinks it's it's a blizzard. But I remember it would snow so deep with the wind, especially if the wind blew, and we had what we called drawbars. It was a type of gate where you had these 2 posts set on either side, and they looked like a little ladder, and the poles went through, and that's what kept the cattle in the field. And it was over the road, going in. And I remember one year my grandma came. She lived across the road from us, and she came to go feed the cattle one evening, and I went with her, and I remember it's one of my favorite memories of my grandma. I guess I would have been around 8, give or take a little, and she held my hand, and we tromped through the snow up the hill behind our old house that's not there anymore, and the wind had blowed so hard through the daytime that it had blowed the snow into a drift, and we walked up over. Now those drawbars was like a fence, so it was 3 bars high. So usually we would climb up over it and down the other side, but it was so high that we could walk over it. So we walked over the drawbars and went into the little barn that we had right there and put out hay for the cattle, and then come back. And it was not long before dark that one evening. But that's one of my favorite memories of her, is leading me by the hand while we go put hay out to the cattle in the barn. So yeah. And then another good memory of that, it's the same spot, just a different season. There was a wild grape, what we call muscadines, that grew in a tree right next to the barn, right along the fence. And every year Mama would, muscadines are great big things, and so she'd always get a ladder and put it up against the tree they were growing in, and go pick them and make juice, and then make jelly and stuff like that. My mama cans everything. Always has. She's still got the canner that she bought when she and Daddy got married in '65. And she still uses it every year. She cans everything. Almost everything they eat. She cans it. Jelly, strawberry preserves, and green beans. My goodness. She cans more green beans than Del Monte, I think. Alright, I'm going to go press all this, and we'll flip it over into the other side. After I said what I said there a minute ago, I couldn't remember what part I said I was going to do off camera and what I didn't. So I didn't turn the camera back on, so I did this part on and did this part off, but they're exactly mirror images of one another. And another thing that I guess I didn't explain at the beginning was this is the bottom, roughly 2/3 of one 12 by 12 minus a small section, and then this is another one, And then what I have to go as the pockets is just another coordinating piece, 2 pieces of paper. So now it's time to bring the scoreboard back in so that we can do these little pockets. So I'm going to do this one first, and this one will go here like that. So I've got the instructions on the back. It's 7.5 inches, so I'll be scoring on the left side a 1/2 inch and the top and bottom a 1/2 inch, and then I'll be putting a thumb notch in the middle. So we're going to go down this left side a 1/2 inch and then turn it around and do a 1/2 inch. Well, if I can get it to stay still. A 1/2 inch here, and then looks like I cut it just a touch short, but it's not a big deal. We're going to still do it at 7, which would be the 1/2 inch there. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to miter these corners right here just a little bit, and what I have found is that these parts here need just a little bit extra, so I'm just going to go ahead and do them there. You don't want to come too far in because then you'll mess up your corner, but just want to take just a little bit extra off, because what I found is when I fold them over on the back side, they want to fold over one another, and you don't want them to do that. So I want to do this pocket, and then I'll come back in and score the other one. So I want to do one thing at a time, otherwise there's no telling where my brain might go. So between the score lines here, I'm going to measure, and it should be 6.5, which it is there. If I can keep one or the other still. So 1/2 of 6.5 is 3.25. So I'm just going to put me a little mark there. And this is my 1.5 inch punch. The one that I did first, I used my 2 inch punch, but for some reason it must be dull right here. It cut everything except that one place. So I skipped down to my 1.5. So I'm just going in a little ways, making sure that the mark I made is lined up with the point on this arrow, so that it's, as near the middle as possible. And just doing that. So I'm going to fold it in this way and see how successful I was with my mitering. Yeah, see, the corner's good, but it's not meeting up. When I first did them, they were trying to overlap a little bit, so I just took a little bit of that extra off. So the next thing, and I just filled up this inker, and oh my goodness, it's very, very juicy. So I'm just barely gonna touch these edges until it dries back out a little bit. I mean, it's like juicy. Okay. Alright, now I have this piece of paper to go on here. So I'm going to be doing the same thing here with finding my middle. Like so. And this is 6.25 because I cut it 1/4 inch shorter there. So 1/2 of 6.25 is 3 1/8, and wouldn't you know, I have my finger right over where I need to make that mark. So anyway, 3 1/8. So I'm going to put that there. And what I want to do is I want to make sure that I have this mark as close to this center as possible. So I'm going to sort of line it up, hopefully straight, with where it will go, and I'm pulling it all the way out to here so that when I cut it, it will give me the border around the actual circle. So what I'm going to do is turn it over, and then it'll have to be very lightly because I can barely hold on to it. Anyway, I'm cutting the pattern and losing my punch, evidently. So I'm going to come in here where I can see exactly where that line is and put that blade on it. And if I did it right, then it should line up really close. So that's good enough for me. Now I'm going to ink the edge of this. My goodness, that's juicy. Because it's so juicy, I will have to hit it with the iron just a little bit just to dry it before I can even glue it down. So let me do that. I shall return. I mean, really, it's just one pass over and it just dries it so that I don't have to worry about it. But, yeah. So my younger daughter, who lives in North Carolina, she sent me pictures day before yesterday of my little granddaughter, Kimber. She was 3 on the 21st. And so she and her husband, they took the whole family, there's them and 3 kids, and took them to the indoor pool, ironically where Jamie learned to swim when she wasn't much older than what Kimber is, at Western Carolina University in Cullowhee, which is close to where they live. And so I got some good pictures of her. She's getting so tall, I've not seen them since November. That's the last time I was up there, because between weather and being under the weather, I haven't got to go back to visit her or my parents. But anyway, so I have 6 grandkids between my 2 daughters, and 2 of them's birthdays in January. My daughter in Indiana, one of her sons, her second son, he was 7 on the 18th, and then his name's Lincoln. And then Kimber was 3 on the 21st. Then in December, my oldest grandson was 15. Oh my goodness, I can't believe he's almost old enough to start driving. It's unreal how fast time goes. But anyway, and then I have Jamie's oldest son, her only son. His birthday's in February, so in 2 weeks or so he will be 5. And then Rachel's only daughter, Anna Lee, she will be 5 in March. So there's a month and 1 day between them. And so when Jamie was pregnant with Kimber's younger sister, Cadence, all of Jamie's kids, they start with the letters K. She was due November the 3rd, And she kept saying, this baby's going to come in October. And I said, Jamie, you cannot have this baby in October. She's like, yeah, it's going to be a Halloween baby. I said, no, it cannot be a Halloween baby. And she said, why? And I said, because we have Aiden in December. We have Lincoln and Kimber in January. We have Camden in February. And we have Annalie in March. If you have a baby in October, it's going to be out of line. We have to have November, December, January, February, March. Mom. So yeah, but you know what? She was born on November the 3rd, so yay, everything worked out. Okay, now the fun part begins. Sort of. Depends on how you look at it, I suppose. Alright, so this pocket is going to go on this side. And so what I did on the other one to get my measurements where I wanted them. This is 7.5 and this is 6.5. So I just took my little ruler and just made me a very light mark, coming in 1/2 inch on either side. And then keep my little glue thing keeps getting corroded. So then, so this is what I was meaning. I don't know what the proper name for these pockets are. But anyway, this is what pockets I wanted to make so that I had the full size, or the full length rather, without the glue. So then you get glue all over the back side. So anyway, we just want to glue this down. One of these days I have got to get me another camera that does not eat the batteries. Or get a camera with just better batteries. The camera I use is kind of old. It's probably 10 years old. And I've got 4 batteries for it, and none of them are any good, really. But anyway, it was a camera that was given to me, and so, you know, what do you do? But I ordered batteries for it, and they've never worked properly, so... Alright, enough of that. So, what I want to do is come in just a tiny bit, just enough to give me a little border. There. And put that down. Make sure I'm as straight as I can be. There. Now, this I would not put the iron on because I have so many layers of paper here. It'd take a good long time, and I don't want to scorch the paper or anything like that. But I do have irons that I put on it. I'll show you. I have these two, and I have 2 more over there that are different types, but I have these 2 really old irons. And that's what I use to hold paper down. So I'm going to move this to my other workstation over there and put the irons on this to set this in place while we go and work on the next pocket. Okay. Now we're back to the scoreboard again. Here's my little doohickey. Let me move some of my stuff out of my own way over here. And I don't know about anybody else, but it's hot. It's funny, after it being so cold, you kind of get used to the warm, but when it's hot outside, it's hot all over. Okay, so on this one, we're going to score 1/2 inch on each side and the bottom. So we're going to score, in this case, at 4, and then at 1/2 inch, or whichever one you want to do first. And then 1/2 inch at the bottom. And then you want to miter these corners the same way. Did I put that there? Yeah, I did. Okay. It's like, did I do that the right way? So I'm going to cut across that way and then just take a little bit extra off of that point there, just so there's no chance of them overlapping. Now, here is where you can do something different if you want to. Now, I have cut this piece of paper. It's going to go this way. This is not the piece of paper I cut, I don't think. I put up my scrap already, but I think I might have put up the wrong piece. But at any rate, because that leaves me too much of a gap. No, I have cut it wrong. I've cut... I didn't write this here. Where's my... Get my piece of paper over here. Cut 4.5 inches tall left side, 3.5 on the right side, 3 inches wide. 3 inches. Okay. I should have cut it at 4, not 4.5. So let me cut that and then rescore it, and we'll be right. Okay. I was wondering why it was so weird all of a sudden. Okay. So if you did it at 4, hopefully you caught it before I did. Okay. Anyway, that's that out of the way. Now it should fit. I'll have to trim this down though, because I went by the other measurement, so I'll need to come down 1/4 of an inch. Much better. Okay, now, like I said, this one's going to be a little bit different because I'm cutting slits in it. Now, you don't have to cut slits in it if you don't want to, and I don't know how I'm doing this already, but there we go. Make sure those little things are, yeah, see that one now is all cockeyed. I left too much on the corner. Okay, there we go. So let's move this out of the way. That should be the last. Make sure I don't have anything on there I don't need. Alright, so what I have written down is put your ruler on 6 inches at the top. Or at least that's what I'm doing, because your pocket is minus your score at the bottom. Your pocket's now 6 inches. So make you a mark at 4 and make you a mark at 2. Come over to the other side and do exactly the same thing and put the mark just inside the score line on the pocket part, not on the hinge part. Hey, that's a hinge maybe. Maybe that's the name of it. Okay. So again at the 4 and the 2. Alright. And then, so that I can halfway see what I'm doing, I'm going to make me just a light mark across here. We did this the other day and I actually liked that, making the pockets that way. It does cut down on bulk quite a bit. So I did like that. Now, one thing that I did on the other one, just to make it a little bit easier for me, is I come in just, it's not even 1/8 of an inch, but just straight, and just put a little bitty cross mark there and there. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Just a tiny, just a tiny space, and just a little bit like that. And then when I come in with my hole punch, I want to make sure that the hole, the back of the punch here is at that line. I don't know if you can see that or not. So that the hole is in front of the mark. So, and you want to center it as best you can, but so see how you left just that little bitty part? So you want that, your hole rather, not your mark, your hole just in front of that little mark that you made right there. Did you see that one go flying across? This don't have a thing on the bottom to catch, so they're flying out all over the place. Okay. And then I just erase these ones. These are gonna, I'm about to cut those, but these, just erase them. Okay, now, well, I suppose I could use this. Get this in my craft knife. And just line it up and go from hole to hole without going through to the other side. And you basically are cutting the pencil mark out, really and truly. So now what you want to do is just come in with your juicy inker and ink those edges and the top and the bottom. Now I found a little trick when I was doing the other one on how to ink these holes, but let me just run the iron over this to dry this ink, and then I'll show you my little trick. Okay, now I make stuff with essential oils and soap and all kinds of stuff like that, so I have a bunch of these little tiny funnels laying around, and I know not everybody's going to have this, but I was, after I had inked these little edges, and the way I did it earlier was I just run me a thing across there like that, and just holding my finger so that it would not get on the other side, and that seemed to work, so I'm just going with that. But so anyway, I was like, but if I don't ink the little circles, I got ink all over my hand, it's going to look fun. So this is what I did. I just put a little ink right on that little cylinder part and just pushed it through, and look how good it inked it. It's so good, it's like perfect. So I just did that on every one of them. And it inked it, because it actually makes it a touch bigger, I think, but that's fine. But yeah, so if you got a little something laying around, maybe even the barrel of an ink pen or something, if it's straight, if you want to ink your holes, then there'll be something that maybe that you could use to do the job. I just thought it was funny that it was laying right there, and I did it. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do, let me open this one back up. Now, like I said, I made these angled pockets, and that was just a little bit more involved than I wanted to do 2 projects back to back, because I did this one, finished it, maybe an hour later started this one. So I didn't want to do the angled pockets, but what I did do was cut the paper accordingly, and then glue down each pocket so that each one had like a border around it. And I want to do the same with this one. So so what I'm going to do is find my ruler again that I keep putting away. So it's going to go sort of like that. And each one of these sections should be 2 inches, right? Or at least really close to 2. So that means I want each one of these to be 2 and 3, or not, 1 3/4. And so yeah. So basically what I'm going to do then is get my cutter over here, and I'm going to cut this one at 1 3/4, and that'll be for the bottom. And I think what I'm going to do is, let's do it this way so I'll have something to go by. I'm going to cut this green piece to go in the middle and this one for the top, because I think there's enough room to have them both that way. And then I'll use this little thing on something else. So here, another one, 1 3/4. And then there's that one. Turn this back around like that. And 1 3/4, like so. And there's that. Now look how cute that is. Okay, so let's ink it up a little bit. I think the ink's finally starting to ease up a little bit. Maybe. Maybe it's just the way I was holding it. I think that might be it. It's just the way I was holding it. Okay, there's that one. So yeah, after doing this whole thing, I decided, you know what, ephemera is just a little too far to go with this project, but the pieces that you have left over from making it, you can make tags and journaling cards and all of that from this, from it, and have plenty to go in it, and then it's all like a little matching set. Okay, I've got a little bit of glue there, I can feel it. I think when I run the dishwasher next, I'm going to put this in the dishwasher. It can't be any different than a cutting board. So, we're going to do this one, this little bitty one. Yeah, doing them this way is definitely easier than those angled ones. That was a little bit of a headache. And if I could do this in a straight line, it'd be a miracle. Okay. I really want that below that line, but I don't think I'm going to get it below that line, so I might come back in. The other one, I fixed it so that it was right at the bottom of that circle, so I'm going to do this one the same way. That looks fine. That way I don't have to cut anything. Okay, let's do the next one. We are almost done, believe it or not. after we get this pocket glued down, I'll be putting in the other one, I first did a brad. It's like an eyelet brad, because it has the bottom like an eyelet, but it has the top like a brad. And it went in just fine, and everything was fine, and then it just popped out. I replaced it with a regular eyelet. So I don't know if that's what I'll do with this or not. Okay, come on up just a smidgen. And I need you to come this way just a smidgen. Like, it's almost immeasurable. That looks a little crooked to me. Yeah, that looks better. Okay, one more. So yeah, I was just thinking back about last year. Jamie didn't have a birthday party for Kimber because Cadence had just been born, and she was like 2.5 months old when Kimber turned 2. And both of them were born with tongue ties and lip tie, I guess lip ties. And so both of them had to have surgery. I went with Jamie to take Cadence. Cadence was 5 days old when she had her first like laser surgery on her mouth. And but Kimber was, I think, 3 months old before they figured out what the problem was. Because Jamie, she's still breastfeeding, but she breastfed both of them, and they just couldn't latch, and it was getting very frustrating for her. So, but they finally figured out that's what it was they both had and according to what they say, it's the folic acid that they recommend that you take now to stop things like spina bifida, the hole in the spine and stuff. It's meant to grow the tissue, and of course, in the mouth, that soft tissue, it just grows it. But Cadence's little upper lip, her complete upper lip was growed to her gums on the whole front under her nose. But now you can't even tell that they just went in there with a laser and cut it loose, and it was fine. She even slept through it. She didn't even know what was happening, and they didn't numb her or anything, so that was a plus. Alright, I'm going to press this, and then we'll glue it to the book. Make sure I don't have anything over here that... Okay, so, like the other one, I'll have to put the little iron. I could do that first, and then I'll just go ahead and carry on with what I'm doing. I do see something I'm messing up here. Take that off and miter the corner, because I completely forgot to do that. I did. Much better. Alright, now glue. Glue, and more glue. It's funny when you want this glue to come out kind of heavy, it wouldn't do it to save its life. But when you need it thin, it just comes out all gloppy like. Not every time, but seems like it's some of the time. So Yep. My dad's sister was in a really bad wreck a week ago today, and she's in the hospital. She was hit head-on by somebody who went left of center and shattered a bone in her leg and broke 3 ribs and all kinds of stuff, but she is definitely doing better, but I feel bad for her, that's for sure. Okay, now here, I'm just going to sort of center it, give myself just a slight border on the bottom, like so. Looks sort of even. And I'm going to take those 2 irons and put on top here, and then I'm going to let that dry. I'll pause the camera while that sets, and then we'll come back and put the hole and the closure in, and then we'll be done. So I'll be back shortly. Okie dokie. Well, we're going to make us a little closure thing, a majigger. So half of 7 1/2 is 3 3/4, and I guess that's an awful long way to go in there, but so be it. I'm going to put it right on that little feathery thing. Let's see how that looks. Okay. So on this one, I'm going to do some little hole reinforcers. I got dried glue on my fingers. Some little hole reinforcers that I made a while back. I don't really like that, it's too dark. That'll be alright. So, yeah, these music ones and book page ones I just cut out with my I just glued some pages together and cut them out with my 1-inch punch, and then I can take this and punch a hole in the middle and it'll be just fine. Be like some oversized ones. Okay, now let's see how successful I'm going to be with this. I did this the other day. I was gluing something down, and it's like my left hand, it just like it started letting go or something. I don't know what it was. But, see? And but then these tweezers are not the best by no means. Now you pull it one way and it's off, and pull it the other way and it's off the other way. Okay. So you can probably hear that barky dog. My daddy was a okay, that's not what let's get this one up. My daddy hunted when I grew up, and Mama used to always say that his dogs bark just to hear their heads roar. And sometimes that sure seemed to be true. Okay. Okay. Now we'll let that dry for a few minutes while we very gently fold up this side, like so. And that one, you can see it just folded right where it needed to there. It's right where it needs to be there. So I'm going to run just a very light streak of ink along that fold. Okay, so there's that one. So now I'm going to do this one. Let's see if it folds the same. So it's not as defined as the other one, but we'll get it that way. Okay, there we go. Okay, and then there. So there, let me turn it this way. So there's the little score lines inked there. Now what I did on the other one was I turned it just slightly to the inside and just run a very light mark across those two as well. And the fact that I put striped paper in on this one, it just falls right in line, don't it? There's a little bit of... Okay. Alright, now I'm going to go and run an iron over these creases I just made and this, because I don't want these to be a weak point. Okay. Have the same little tie. This was just this is some older cotton fabric that I ripped into little strips a while back, and I used it on this. I can't say that it goes the best, but out of what I had, it went the best. So let me just go ahead and I could have tied two together, but this works good enough for what I want. And this does have red and blue in it, so it'll work. And so this one I was going to do pretty much the same way. So there is our little wallet folio holder thing. So you have a big pocket here that stuff can go into, like that. And I'm looking at this now and thinking, you know what, I did have the right measurement a while ago, but for some reason I think the stripes fooled my eye, because compared to the other one, this is narrow now. So, but it'll still be fine. So you still have all of these that now anything won't go into it because I have them so small, but they still work. And once you put something in them, in and out a little bit, this part here will lift up and kind of stay up. That's what I found on the other ones that I've done. So, and I probably could have put something here, but I was thinking this is more of the, like, you know, I have a wallet roughly about this size, maybe a touch smaller, but, and this is how I, like when I go to pay for something, I open it up, and there's nothing here except the bottom. There's no zipper, no pocket, no anything. But then when I open it this way, I've got stuff here and stuff here. And then there's, you know, I've got a zipper and pockets and things that is part of this area. So that was kind of my thought of just a little wallet to use. But let me tie a little knot. I'm going to just do this one the same way I did the other one. And this one's a little thinner, so I probably should do two. Well, come back through you. Okay, I'm going to go around it twice. I go like that, and then push that little knotty thing up all the way as far to the end as it'll go. What I was saying there a minute ago, and I got off on another thing, was this had a white background, and so my husband, he drinks tea. He's from England, so he drinks tea every day, and he had a little bit left in the pot. So I snuck and got it. Snuck and got me some of his tea, and put a little tea in my little paint cup, wherever it is, and then added a few drops of my coffee ink to it just to darken it slightly, and then I run this through, and I turn my iron up about halfway, and then hit it while it was nice and soppy, because what that does is put these little bitty scorch marks in like that, so it just makes it look a little older than it actually is, although the fabric itself is quite old. But anyway, let me see if I can get this end tied without too much fanfare. Okay, so go there, around like this. This one must have been shorter than the other one. Okay, I'll end up changing that, because I mean, it does sort of work, but anyhow, here we are. So these are not bad. Both of them are almost identical. These are the pockets, but you see now what I'm saying about the width. Having the scores put out, stuck out to the side, it got my mind, played a trick on my mind. But anyway, there we go. So not bad. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. So, thank you all very much for watching. I hope you made it through. And feel free to make this in any variation, size-wise and whatnot, that suits whatever project that you want to put it in. This could be a standalone piece. It could go inside another journal. You could cut, make it shorter, and it would work really well in a journal. But if you had kind of a big journal, but I like it I like the idea of it being a standalone, and I also like it because it uses these big pages. No, I keep saying big pages, big images on the page. That's just kind of hard to use without them looking weird. So anyway, that's File Folder Friday. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.